Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
Welcome back to the show. We are so honored to have our friend joining us here once again today, Lisa Deveaux. And really, it's about Pilates power. And that's a runner's secret weapon, as she says. We're excited to have her back here from Brown Skill and Wellness to talk more about this. And of course, all that she can do with helping you with Pilates. And really, there's so much it can help with. So you've taught me a lot. And I want to thank you for that. And for those out there who are saying, who's Lisa Deveaux? Tell us a little bit about yourself and company before we begin, please.
Oh, sure. I am a certified Pilates instructor. I have a company, Brown Skin Wellness, where we focus on different wellness modalities to help you relax, to move, to stretch, to breathe, to alleviate anxiety, alleviate pain in the body. We're looking to work with corporate clients as well to bring wellness programs to their organizations.
Mm-hmm.
Today, we're going to talk about the secret weapon that Pilates is for runners or any athlete, really.
Yep.
But brownskinwellness.com is the website. We're based in Brooklyn. We do Pilates private sessions in Manhattan, and we offer classes online, and we do workshops in person as well. Brown Skin Wellness is the handle for Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. You can reach us also at hello@brownskinwellness.com or at 718-772-9101.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. Well, we're excited you're back here. And to start off, let's go over maybe a few of the common injuries that we suffer from that we know Pilates can be beneficial for. Where did you want to start?
Some of the common injuries, knee, hip pain, issues with your ankles when you're a runner, the tibialis, which is the muscle that runs across the front of the shin.
That's the shin
Can
splints, right? Oh,
Shin splints, that's right.
What is a shin splint? Break this down for me because I don't know what that even means. And you feel like you have them sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. So there's a muscle that runs from the foot, from the metatarsal, all the way up, probably like right below the knee, right below the knee. And when that muscle gets overused,
Okay, yeah.
it feels inflamed, it feels really uncomfortable, and that is the shin
So
split.
it's not a bone split or chip. That's when you hear the word shin splint, do you think it's like it's not the bone, it's the muscle.
It's the muscle, it's the tibialis anterior, to
Got it.
be technical, right?
Thank you so much. Oh my goodness. All right.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So you can take a foam roller, like something like this, if you can see.
Yeah.
I don't know if yep, something like this. And you can put that underneath the shin and just roll it out, right?
Wow.
Yeah. And if you don't have a foam roller, maybe you have a yoga mat at home, roll
Yeah.
it up and roll that out to just like
What about paper towels? I have plenty from Costco. A little small, but
that's a
it's the round rolly type of look that
it's
you were
the
gearing for.
absolutely yes. You could definitely try that to see if that alleviates the pressure. It might feel a little soft because you might need something a little bit firmer than a paper towel, but you could definitely try it to see if it alleviates the pressure. But if you're looking for things that are easy to find at home, maybe even taking like a ball,
Yep.
right? Like a tennis ball, or if this is a pinky ball, right? And you could even try and roll that underneath the shin as well to see if that helps take some of that pressure off. And that's not necessarily Pilates in nature, that's just good practice to prevent injury and to alleviate any inflammation you might feel after a few runs
Thank
overworking
you
those
for that.
muscles.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
that's definitely new to me. And thank you for teaching me that. You mentioned also that tendonitis. I want to ask you about that because that I've had hip pain, right?
Mm-hmm.
And
Yep.
I don't really know what it is, but I went to the physical therapist for it, tendonitis in my arm. And you
Mm-hmm.
mentioned in the hips as well. It's funny. I just went to the doctor last week and I'm trying to find it on my desk. I have prescriptions to get a x-ray from Zwanger of my
Mm-hmm.
hips because I'm feeling so much pain. Could it be tendonitis? I don't know. He wants to rule out the bone thing first and do the x-ray first. But
Right.
ooh, tell me about this hip pain.
So tendonitis is some inflammation that you feel right in the hip area. And one of the exercises that's really good for that with Pilates is the side lying series. So if you lie, let's just say you want to lie down on your left side, you want to work the right hip, right? That right hip is perfectly stacked over the left. You're going to just lift that leg up towards the ceiling and work that glute medius, right? And
Yeah.
really start to exercise the muscles around it. So things like leg circles, clamshells, what I call Mary Poppins, right? You keep
Uh-huh.
your heels together and your toes apart, and then you lift your feet into space. So your heels are suspended in space and you're just opening and closing the knees. So really it's a clamshell with your heels up in space. So I call that clamshell with the heels up, Mary Poppins.
Oh, I
But
love
it
it.
works, it works the hips, it works that glute medius, it gets those muscles stronger. And that's really a good preventative measure for tendonitis. Pilates has quite a few exercises in the side lying series that you can
Yeah.
do to work that out. Yes. And there's
Awesome.
lots of stretches that you can do, like a butterfly stretch.
Okay.
You lie down on your back, you bring your heels together and your toes apart, and you open the knees and you just breathe into that stretch. That's a really good way to open up the hips and see, we all have different ranges of motion. We all have, different limitations in terms of flexibility, but that's a good place to start with opening up those hip flexors.
Thank you. I was just going to ask, what is that technique? How does it work? Lay back. I get the legs. Got it. Perfect. Perfect. What else? What else? What are some other common injuries do you want to share?
Some other common injuries would be ankles.
Okay.
And with the ankles, what's really good to protect those ankles is footwork on the
Oh,
reformer.
okay.
Or another thing you can easily do to really protect those ankles is pedal out the heels. So you go into a downward facing dog, you lift the heels up into space so you're up on those toes, or you're in a pike position. So your hands and your feet are touching the floor and your butt's up in the air, right? And you just pedal the heels out, pedal the heels out, pedal the heels out. And that's a really good way to exercise those muscles. It's really great for your tendons because people get tendonitis, that tendon stretch with the Achilles in the back there, right? You want to really press those heels into the floor, pedal those heels out. That's another good technique that can be applied in terms of stretching things out. Um, Another common injury is the iliotibial band, the IT syndrome, right?
Oh, okay.
And that puts a lot of pressure on the knees, right?
Oh, okay.
And that's that muscle that runs along the side from the hip to the knee, right? That becomes inflamed
Yeah.
and it's tight. A lot of people feel tightness there. So a
Mm-hmm.
really good thing to do is take a yoga strap, put it on the ball of the foot. So you open this up, you put this on the ball of the foot. You can even use a TheraBand, put it on the ball of the foot, and you just point and flex, point and flex, point and flex. And then you just take that leg across the body. That's a really good stretch you'll feel in the hip, all the way from the hip to the knee to really lengthen
Yeah.
that IT band, right? So IT band puts a lot of pressure on the knee. Even when your quads are tight, that puts also pressure on the knee. So another thing you can do very easily is a thigh stretch. So if you're kneeling with your legs hip distance apart,
Okay.
you come on your knees, keeping your glutes and hamstrings somewhat engaged and your posture engaging that core, and then you hinge straight back at the knee, hinge straight back. You'll feel a stretch in the front of the quads. So stretching those quads also takes pressure off of the knees. So that's another good one.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I know we're still just want to remind everyone how we can contact you. We still have plenty more to talk about here. Again, this is Pilates Power, runner's secret weapon. So we're talking about some of the common injuries. We're getting to the prevention with Pilates and of course, all we could do at home. And let me just ask you at Brown Skin Wellness, how can we reach out to you directly?
You can reach out to me at hello@brownskinwellness.com. You can find us on Instagram at Brown Skin Wellness, so you can always slide into my DMs. You can find us on Facebook and LinkedIn as well. And the phone number is 718-772-9101. From the website, you can also fill out a form and say, hey, Lisa, I have an issue. Can we talk? And you can even, reach out that way and just like schedule some time to get on the calendar.
Beautiful. Thanks so much. All right. Well, let's continue. Where did we leave off with our ailments and how we can help, obviously with prevention of Pilates. I like that. Prevention with
Right.
Pilates.
Prevention with Pilates. Yeah, the secret weapon. Sorry, I'm a little warm. I'm going to take this off.
Sure. Don't worry about it. I'm gonna have a
um,
sip of water. I'm so well. I had some allergic reaction before. I don't know what. My cheeks got all flushed, but I had to take a little allergy pill before the break. I had to go grab it, and I'm sweating today. I don't know why. So I took off my sweater earlier. I'm in a tank top now as well. Go for it.
well, we did talk about menopause the other day. So, all kinds of things could be happening there. I mean, the hormones could be,
Darn right.
doing their
Yep.
thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
wow.
Um, Pilates and the secret weapon, the ab series is a really good thing to practice. And it doesn't even take long to go through, the about five exercises in the ab series. So hundreds, single leg stretch, double leg stretch, lowering and lifting the legs, and crisscross. All of that gets into the deep abdominals, the transverse abdominis, the rectus abdominis, or otherwise known as the six pack. And then obviously those side obliques, helping to snatch that side waist in and deal with those muffin tops. So getting that really strong, a strong core really helps your posture. And when your posture is, upright and in alignment, it helps you to perform better as a runner or an athlete or even in daily life, just trying to pick up those groceries or run your errands. You really want that posture to be in good form. And it gives the organs space to function the way they're designed to work. So you breathe better.
Got it. Thank you.
So that
Ooh.
strong core really, really helps. The ab series is great for that.
Ooh. What about
Yeah.
for our hip series? That
Oh,
next?
you like that, the hip series? Yeah. So the hips. So I mentioned before clamshells and Mary
Hmm.
Poppins and lowering and lifting the legs, but even the side lying series around just lifting that leg up,
Yeah.
flexing the foot. You're still lying on your side. So that right side body, I'm always using the left side first. I'm lying on my left side and everything is just perfectly stacked. I lift that leg up. I kick that leg forward and then I point that toe, press that leg back, engaging the glutes and hamstrings, still working that hip. When you do your leg circles, so if you're lying on your back, when you do your
Hmm.
leg circles, you can do it, free form with no assistance, just circling that leg across the body, down and up, and then in both directions, right? So you can take it across the body and then take it away from the body, moving into that circles. And you can even play with the circles. You could do really large circles, or you could
Oh,
do
hmm.
small circles and just see what your range is, like how much room do you have, and observe where the tightness is around the hips in that leg so you can figure out what needs to be lengthened. Is it the abductors, the abductors, or is it the adductors, the adductors, the ones that move into center versus the ones that move away from center? Or is it the hamstrings? Tight hamstrings are so, so, so common. And it's so funny. I was teaching this morning and I usually ask the question, hey, who has tight hamstrings? Do we need to stretch the hamstrings before we start doing, get into this? And everybody's usually like, yeah, yeah, let's stretch. And there was one woman, she didn't have tight hamstrings. And I was like, you are an anomaly because everybody's hamstrings are tight. Everybody. Um,
Absolutely.
yeah, so stretching those hamstrings, you can take something like a yoga strap again and take that leg straight up in the air, flex that foot, press that heel all the way to the ceiling, get all that length in the back of the leg. That takes pressure off of the hips and it also takes pressure off of the knees. Another really great stretch, and this is not necessarily Pilates in nature, it's just movement or really just a stretch, is the pigeon stretch in yoga, right? That is a great stretch if you can get into it for the hips by just bending one knee. So let's say you bend your right knee forward and you want to open up that left hip. You extend that leg behind you so that your thigh is facing the floor, touching the floor. And then that'll open it up. But even beyond that, so you're opening up the side hip on the
Uh,
leg that's bent, you're opening up the front hip on the leg that's extended behind you. And then to deepen that stretch, the leg that's extended behind you, which would be the left leg, the one that where the thigh is touching
mhm.
the mat, you bend that knee and then that stretches the quad. So you're hitting multiple areas
We
there.
could share your screen at one point. You can actually show us some of your exercises if you have a compilation of them to see, just letting you know. Uh,
Yeah, we could do that one day. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. But yeah, there's so many different techniques and tools that you can use. And like I said, not all of these are Pilates in nature, but there are things that
yeah.
I know I recommend that people try and do, before getting into a workout or a run or even preventative in nature. But Pilates itself, the footwork, great for the ankles, great for the tendons in the Achilles and the back, great for the tibialis, pointing that toe and getting that length, using that foam roller to roll it out, to kind of
Yeah.
move that fascia around.
Fascia.
Um,
I
yeah,
always hear about
fascia.
fascia, fascia, fascia.
Yeah,
That sticky
definitely.
stuff. What did you compare it to when we talked about it last time? Didn't you mention um because everyone hears about fascia and everyone knows what it is. How would you describe it? But it's like that sticky, like gluey stuff in between that's holding the muscle to
Yes,
the
that
I
holds
forgot.
the muscle to
Someone
the
used a
yeah.
terminology about I don't know if it was you. I'm sorry,
It
but
might not have been me because I'm
um
like, did we talk about fascia?
fascia,
I
maybe it
don't
wasn't.
recall.
But people don't know what that is and just keep hearing about it all the time.
Yeah, it's this uh what do I want to call it? It's like this
Yeah, I can't
layer.
describe it.
It's hard to describe if you don't really know, but it's a layer that is like in there with the
Yep.
muscles, right? And you want to, you kind of want to move it around a little bit, like kind of
Mm-hmm.
redistribute it so that it doesn't cause you I guess it can contribute to your discomfort in some ways, right? So you
Got it.
really want to move the fascia around, like, for example, using that foam roller on the tibialis with the shin splints.
Or a paper
That's
towel roll.
or
Yes,
or
yes.
paper towel roll. Yep, a roll of paper towels from Costco, right? That will, move the fascia around and help take the pressure off of those muscles. Definitely, even a pinky ball. I use this actually to move fascia around in my back, right?
Ooh.
So that's a good one, and that's good for the hips too. So right at the lower back here on the right and the left side. So not really at the spine, but on the right and the left
Okay.
side. I will take two of these balls. I will lie down on the mat and I'll put the balls right on either side of my lower back, not touching the spine, but on the right
Okay.
and the left sides. And then I just kind of lay down and just like get really heavy in my hips and in my pelvis and feel weighted in my center right there and just relax into it. And then I'll move around a little bit, right? So that the ball is moving around and the fascia in my back is starting to shift. And that really helps alleviate pressure in my back.
Yep.
And it also helps me with this deep, 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 deep psoas muscle that's like,
Ooh.
runs from
What is, I don't, yeah, you got to tell me what that is.
the psoas is a deep muscle
Ah,
that runs from the front of the femur bone, comes
okay.
across the hip, and attaches to the spine,
Oh,
right?
wow. Again, learning something new. Okay. Wow. Thank you.
And that muscle is what do they call it? It's like it's a really important muscle because it can cause groin pain in us, right? It
Yeah.
create it can you can get groin pain. It can contribute to some of the pain you might feel in the hips. It can contribute to
Ooh,
sciatic pain that people feel in the lower back when you don't pay attention to it. And it's an interesting muscle. And when you really go deep into the study and the work of it, you learn that uh, it's the muscle in the body that holds emotions. If
mm,
that it it it's not just physical, it's emotional too. Like it remembers everything. It doesn't forget anything. So when you hear, I don't know if you hear the term psoas release, you're not just releasing and
yeah.
lengthening that muscle, but you're releasing emotions, good, bad, or indifferent as well. So it's kind of this thing in our center and in our core that it's a very it's connected. Like it's one of those things that really makes the bridge between mind, body, and spirit, kind of connecting everything because that psoas is just that muscle.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And what's
So
the, wait, what's the, there's a few more, with broccoli. What was the broccoli for?
oh, the
The broccoli rubber band you mentioned. That's what it
broccoli
was.
rubber band. So this is really a good tool. Like, so if you take this off your broccoli, right?
Yeah.
Because you don't have one of these, right, that you may have purchased. So, a Pilates instructor would use something like this,
Okay.
which is a toe corrector, right?
Mm,
And this really helps to exercise the muscle in the feet,
okay.
but it's really good to help with your knees, right?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
you can put this. So let's just say this is my foot. I'm going to put this foot here, and the other foot is going to give me just stay in place. And I'm going to move my ankle to the right and back to center, move it to the right and back to center. And that's going to be good for my knees because everything goes right back up the chain, right?
Got it.
So
Yeah.
what's happening with the feet and with the arches of the feet. So there's all these different things you can do with this. If I just use this really quickly, right? And I take this. So if I have the big toe, I'm going to
Mm-hmm.
use my index finger, right? So
Okay.
my index finger is the big toe, and the big toe is moving away, away from center back to center, right? And then I'm lifting those toes up and I'm curling those toes and coming back and bringing it back down, right?
Got-
Lifting those toes up. So you're getting tension here. And then you're lifting it up, putting it back down, working all the muscles in that feet. And that's all really great for getting those muscles strong, supporting you in terms of balance, supporting you in terms of the ankle health, building those muscles up, and also really helping with those knees as well.
Ah,
But
thank you
you
so
can
much.
do all of that with the rubber band off your broccoli.
That is amazing. It's great to know. Well, we are just about out of time, in our last minute together. Let's remind everyone how we can contact you.
You can contact me, hello at brownskinwellness.com. Brownskinwellness.com is the website. 718-772-9101. Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn at Brown Skin Wellness. Slide into my DMs, send me a message, just say hello. I was listening to you and Jill chatted up about some stuff, and I was just curious about ABC, whatever it might
Got it.
be.
Thank you so much. And what do you have planned for tomorrow? Just curious. I know it's Thanksgiving.
Tomorrow, I am going out to Valley Stream and I'm going to eat. I'm going to bake a pecan pie and I'm going to show up with my pie. And then I'm going to sit down and have dinner with my family.
Enjoy. Thank you so much for your time today. Have a happy holiday. And
You
we
too,
will
Jill.
talk
Are
again
you
next week.
cooking?
No, I'm not, thankfully. I'm not a good cook and I don't cook much. But I'm going to my aunt's house with my kids. So it's local, it's close, it's easy breezy. I like
All
it that
right.
way. Enjoy.
Good
Thank you so
stuff.
much.
You too.
Bye-bye.
Have a good one. Bye.
Are you looking for even more of the podcasts and hosts that you love? The Podcast Business News Network is proud to announce that you now have even more ways to listen live. Check out the MyTuner Radio, online radio box, and Simple Radio apps on iOS and Android, or find us online. Search for Business News Network on mytuner-radio.com or search Podcast Business News Network on streama.com and onlineradiobox.com/US. Take your podcast on the go and don't miss a minute of the action.
Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.
For nearly 2,000 severely injured veterans, everyday life has become filled with barriers.
Day-to-day simple tasks can become pretty daunting.
I have to carry my chair up 2 flights of steps or have somebody do it for me.
What scares me the most is just the falling.
When I'm struggling with my house, I think, to have that one great barrier just knocked down, it's crucial.
Home for Our Troops is a wonderful nonprofit that builds a
Mortgage-free, fully adaptive, handicap-accessible house. And there's no catch.
It'll be our very first home that we've ever owned. This is a game changer.
This is where your life begins again.
We need you to join us in completing this important mission. Please visit hfotusa.org and help build homes and rebuild lives.
Because of you, everything's going to be okay.